Hello, welcome to F-Intermod Basics video. Today we'll learn how to get started with F-Intermod. First thing you want to do is download F-Intermod onto your computer and license it. Licensing and downloading and installing on your computer is discussed in my previous video, or else you can also take a look at our website at telecomengineering.com and read about how to do that there. Today we're going to go into F-Intermod and using it. So once you have the icon, this icon here on your computer, go ahead and double click on it to get it started. And this is the splash screen that pops up. Sorry, it's slightly off my video recording area. And F-Intermod is starting up. I'll just move it over once it starts. There we go. It started up now. And as you can see, we have F-Intermod here started, and has a couple of areas that I like to show you. This first area here is the input area where you're going to be inputting your channel information. We'll be doing that in a few minutes. And the area down here in this part is where you will see the output once you press the run button. So let's get started right away. Let's input a couple of channels and see how it works. So we'll input a channel name here. We'll call it channel 1. And the transmit frequency, you notice it's in megahertz. Everything here, all the inputs are in megahertz. So let's put this channel in as 161.9000 megahertz. And then the receive frequency, let's input, for example, 157.3000 megahertz. And now we want to input the half bandwidth. So for the half bandwidth, this is the IF bandwidth, or your receiver bandwidth, that your receiver will receive. Typically, it is the IF bandwidth. So if you have an IF bandwidth of example, let's say, for example, 60 kilohertz, here you would enter 30 kilohertz. So you would not enter the 60 kilohertz. So let's enter 30 kilohertz. 0.0300, and then just press the add button here, and as you can see, it adds it to this screen here. So let's do another one. Let's call it channel 2, and we'll enter the frequency here at 159.8. And this one's a half duplex channel, so I'm going to enter 159.8 again. And you can see the half bandwidth is already populated. We did that just to make it a little easier. If it's not 30 kilohertz, if it's not 60 kilohertz bandwidth, or 30 kilohertz half bandwidth, you can easily change it by just highlighting it and putting a different number in there. But let's keep it at 30 kilohertz. And this one, you want to click half duplex. And you want to add that. And I'm going to add a few more channels, and I'll be right back after they're all added. Okay, so I'm back. And as you can see, I've added 5 channels here that I want to check if they're creating intermod frequencies. So after I added them, I want to enter an intermod order. It's best to enter an intermod order at a lower level first, especially if you have quite a few channels. So if you got 100 or 200, you definitely want to start very low. Here, it probably doesn't matter too much because we won't have that much intermod on this particular example, but let's start low anyhow. We'll start at 3 and run it. And you can see one intermod is calculated here, intermod order 3, one intermod. And let's see, let's run it to intermod order 5. You can see there's 10 intermods calculated. Let's run it a little higher. Let's say intermod 7. And you can see there's 19 intermods calculated. Now this is the output screen. I'll just increase this to see it a little better. So this column here shows you the intermod order. And this column here is the intermod frequency. This column here is the channel where the intermod frequency interferes with. This column here shows you the difference between the channel center frequency and the intermod frequency. And here we see are the coefficients of the channel frequencies that are used as a multiplication factor in order to calculate the intermod frequency. So 157, for example, for this order, the third order intermod here, 157.7, to get that intermod frequency, what the program F-Intermod does is it multiplies 161.9 by -1 and adds it to 159.8 times 2 and adds it to 158.1 times 0 and 157.125 times 0. So those are added together and you'll get this intermod frequency. And the program shows you that it falls on 157.5 channel, and that's the receive frequency. Now what we can do also is we, instead of showing the channel number here, frequency, we can show the channel name. So we just click this option. We run it again. Let's increase this a bit. And the channel name appears instead of the frequency. I typically like to use it without the channel name, so we'll run it again without the channel name, but just the frequency. You can see that. Here are some other options on the left. If you just want to see what intermod is created for intermod order 7 and you're not concerned with intermods 3 and 5, then you click this option, single intermod order, and you run it, and it just shows you what's created in intermod 7. Another nice feature here is include transmitter intermod. This isn't that popular, but we've included it. Some customers have asked for it. So to include transmitter intermod, what this does is it shows you what intermod frequencies are interfering with the transmitter. So let's run it again. 39 intermods are created. And if you look here on the channel column, you see these are all intermods interfering with the receiver. But this one here, this intermod, 156.975, is interfering with this transmitter frequency. And here, of course, this column here once again shows you the difference between the center frequency of this channel, which is 157.125, and the actual intermod frequency. So let's undo that one, show the channel name, we've showed you that one. Now this one sometimes confuses people, is disable receive filter. So this receiver filter is this channel bandwidth here that we've entered. So this is the bandwidth here. So if you disable this channel bandwidth for each one of these channels, and let's reduce, because we'll get more hits. Let's reduce this to third order. And let's just run it right now at third order. So you can see you just get one on third order. And it's interfering with this channel here, 157.5 receive frequency. That's this one here. And that'd be channel 5. Now, if we select disable receive frequency, we should input a output frequency range, but let's just do it without entering an output frequency range and see what happens. So this will show you all the intermods that occur in the band, regardless of what the receive frequency is. Let's run that. And as you can see, there's quite a few. 60 in fact, up to order 3. And it was calculating it from 0 to 999 gigahertz. If you select output frequency range, you could narrow this down quite a bit. So let's say we want to see the frequency range between 100 megahertz and 200 megahertz. So run that again. We got 24 intermods. So these are all the intermods that are created within this frequency range between 100 megahertz, 200 megahertz of intermod order 3. Of course, if you go to a higher intermod order, let's say 5, you'll get more. 88. And so it doesn't show you in this column here, there's no channel frequency because it's not calculating the intermod frequencies in any particular channel. It's just calculating the intermod frequencies that are created within this band. So let's leave it here and let's disable the receive filter and output frequency range. Well, actually, we could leave the output frequency range so we're consistent. And let's run it again. Here we have 88 intermods, and we can run it again. And you can see now we have only 10 intermods. And these are the intermods probably you're going to be concerned about, because these are the intermods right here that interfere with your receive frequency here, your receive channel, within this frequency range. Typically, you wouldn't, if you have this disabled, you wouldn't enable that, so you disable that. You can run it again. It's the same because the frequency range that we had, 100 to 200, is much larger than the frequency range that it shows now for your intermod outputs. Also, I want to say something about the type here that we've entered: duplex, half duplex, and simplex. So what we mean by duplex, we mean full duplex, meaning that the transmitter and receiver, the transmitter is transmitting at the same time as the receiver is receiving. So once again, the transmitter and receiver are operating at the same time. For half duplex, what we mean is that when the transmitter is transmitting, the receiver is not receiving. And when the receiver is receiving, the transmitter is not transmitting. And simplex is the transmitter is always transmitting or the receiver is always receiving, either or. So this would be, if the transmitter is always transmitting, this would be like a AM radio station or an FM radio station. Or if the receiver is always receiving, it's like just a simple radio that you have at home. The half duplex is similar. Is an example of that would be a walkie-talkie, where you transmit and then you push the button to transmit and then you let go of the button to receive. Also, when you're inputting the information, after you inputted the channel name, transmit frequency, receive frequency, and half bandwidth, and it appears here, you could furthermore enter more information in the row for each channel. And you can scroll through here to see what information you could add. And this basically acts as a database for your work. With the exception of this power, it is a database on the basic version of your F-Intermod, but if you have the power version of your F-Intermod, that's an upgrade. It will also do some calculations with this power value. I will get into these using the power value in a future video. But for now, you can enter this information just for future reference as a database. So how do we enter this information? It's simple. All you have to do is double click on the cell. As you see there, I double clicked, nothing happened. Why is that? Well, in order to enter information in this area, we need to get rid of the output here. And we can do that simply by pressing this button, clear out. So now the output's gone. Let's try this again. Let's double click on it. There we go. It turned blue. And we could enter this information. Enter telecom engineering there, and then just click on another cell to finish the entry. You could always increase it to see. And that goes the same after you entered all this information. You could always change it. So let's say I made a mistake here. I want to change the frequency, so I just double click on it and then change the frequency by pressing the backspace delete button to delete the highlighted area, and just click on another cell to save it. And then we could run that again. Once you have the output that you want, you'll probably want to print it out. So that's simple to do. Just go up to the File menu here, press File, Print, and select the printer that you want to use for printing out. So we've included a print preview screen. So to preview your printing prior to actual printing, you just click the print preview and slightly off the recording area here. So I'm just going to bring it in. And this is what the output looks like on your coming out of your printer. Where your channel database is stored. We'll talk about that in a second. Intermodulation report, the date. Output frequency range, less than intermod order 5. We're calculating all frequencies for all channels. And everything is in megahertz here. And here we show the channel, transmit frequency, receive frequency, type, bandwidth, status. We'll talk about that later. And the power. And here's the output. And tells you how many listings are found. The next thing you want to do is you want to save this. So I'll show you how to save it into the channel database. So I'm going to clear that out. So to save your work, so you can bring it up again in the future without having to re-enter the all the channels and frequencies, just go to File, Save Channel Database. I guess you probably can't see all that. Let me just move it over a little bit here. Go to File, Save Channel Database As. And here we're going to call it test 1. And we'll always have an extension of CDB. And we'll save this to the desktop. So now it's saved to my desktop. You can't see it here, but it's on my desktop. So if I want to recover that information from my desktop, let's say there's nothing here. Let's get rid of all this here, so we can click the Clear All. That clears all the information in F-Intermod. I'll just click this folder here. And let's find that test 1. There it is, test 1 CDB. Open it. And there we go, it's back. We could run it again. Now that you've saved it once, instead of going here to save the channel database as, you can just click here and it'll save it. So if you make some changes to here, then just click that to save the changes. We'll take a look at a few other options. So if you open up the options menu here, on this one here, View Channel Info, gives you another way of looking at the channel. So you click that, and it's off your screen there. I'll bring it on. That's what it looks like. I'll just move it over here. And you could enter information here also, instead of entering it here. Some people like using it. I'd rather just enter the information here. And you could look at what's entered. For all the channels. Another option is auto receive frequency. If you click that, make sure this is checked. It is. Let's go channel 1. 157.10, and we want to go to 158.10, half bandwidth 0.30, 0.30 kilohertz there. So we're going to add that. So you can see the difference between the transmitter frequency and the receiver frequency is 1 megahertz. So next channel you want to transmitter frequency 160.10, and the receiver frequency is automatically added. And you could add that one. It just makes it a little easier if you're adding a lot of frequencies that are spaced equally. Typically this isn't used too often, but it's a nice little feature. So you can unclick that. And then another feature here we'll discuss later on with the power option. You can change from watts to dBW. Okay, so let's clear this one. Let's load our test again. Go back here, find it, test. Now let's say you want to copy all these to a spreadsheet, or you want to load frequencies from a spreadsheet to these columns. You can. You can use copy and paste to do that. So for example, if you want to copy all these frequencies to a spreadsheet, you just highlight them, left click and highlight them. Then you right click and you could select copy. Or else you can go up here and select copy. Oops, select copy also up there. And then you could take that and open up your Excel spreadsheet. And I'll see if I have mine handy here. And then you just right click and paste. There we go. Let's say you want to copy those too. There you go. And let's say you want to copy something from your spreadsheet back here. So let's make some changes on the spreadsheet. We'll change that to 9, and that one to 44, and that one to 66. So you want to copy, take these and right click, copy. You want to go here on the top cell, right click and paste. As you could see, they're pasted in. Then you could run it again. Makes it really easy to transfer from a spreadsheet to F-Intermod. One thing I want to caution everyone on is that sometimes spreadsheets like Excel and other spreadsheets, in this empty cell, occasionally there is characters in there, but they're hidden. You can't see them. And if you copy an empty cell, it may give you an error. So let's say we're going to copy this one here. Copy. And we'll insert it here. Oh, I have an output, so I can't insert it. That's why it's not letting me, so I have to clear that. And then now paste. Okay, and then we want to run it to see what happens. So there wasn't an error, there wasn't anything in here. But if you do that and you get it when you run it and you get an error, it's probably because this empty cell that you copied had something in it. So you want to go to Excel and clear contents on the in that cell, or just don't copy it. And we have the copy paste buttons here also. The easy ones to use is just a right click. Also, when you've saved your database, it'll show up here where it's saved. One more item I like to mention is in the options in units, you could change the units from kilohertz, megahertz, gigahertz, terahertz before entering any information. So once you enter the information, it won't let you change it. But at before, you can change it now. Typically, it's best just to leave it on megahertz all the time so it doesn't get confusing. Also, I think I forgot to mention how to change the type. That's simply by double-clicking on it. You can change it from duplex to the appropriate value. Just click somewhere else to save it. Once it's run, you won't be able to double click on it. So once again, you'll have to clear it, and then you can double click and make the change. So that concludes this basic video about F-Intermod. Hope you enjoyed it and that you're a little bit more knowledgeable on how to use F-Intermod.